Good evening and thank you for joining us. You're watching the 9 at Night. I'm Stephania Jimenez. Tonight, more questions into the law enforcement response in Uvalde as the New York Times releases several videos of what happened May 24th. Now, the videos on the New York Times website come from Uvalde police body cameras and security footage at Robb Elementary, and we're just warning you, they're difficult to watch. And while a lot of frustration was aimed at then District Police Chief Pete Arredondo, the New York Times found that DPS also had a heavy hand in how things played out that day. Arredondo was one of the first officers there, but the New York Times reported that after 12 p.m., the Border Patrol Tactical Unit, or BORTAC, were in control. One video shows how several officers reacted to hearing that there was a 911 call coming from a child inside a classroom, yet still didn't take action.
Hey, who's in charge of task?
It's gonna take time.
Y'all need bangs.
You got gas?
They're bringing gas and bangs.
We got victims in there.
There's victims in the room with him?
Yeah, child on the phone, multiple victims.
A child just called that they have victims in there. Call 911.
9 minutes after that video, it appears as if officers attempted to get into the classrooms after the gunmen start shooting again, but then they just stop in the hallway. And the reason for them stopping, that's still unclear. Now, you can imagine this upset parents in Uvalde who lost their kids in that shooting. Kimberly Rubio, whose daughter Lexi was among those victims, sent a tweet saying, quote, "I hope their smiling faces haunt those who failed them, just as the image of my daughter in her bright yellow casket haunts me," unquote. Rubio also tweeted the New York Times article asking the responders how it felt to go home that night knowing that they left children to die on the floor of their classrooms. Lexi's birthday is just 8 days from today. She would have been 11 years old. Gloria Casares shared a picture of her daughter, Jackie, today as well. She wrote, quote, "I was never prepared to live the rest of my life without you. I just hope it's not too long. Save Mama a spot right next to you, please," unquote. In other news, what began as a minor crash got a driver into major trouble. San Antonio police say that he was carrying a pickup full of people when he hit an off-duty officer's SUV. That was just before 8 this morning. Police say he was driving on I-35 near Fisher Road, which is on the southwest side near the Toyota plant. And when the driver tried switching lanes, he ended up side-swapping an officer's vehicle.
SWAT officer was pushed over into a cement side rail. He thought the other vehicle was going to pull over, but it went to take off.
So the officer turned on his lights, the driver pulled over, and that's when 6 to 10 people jumped out of the truck, started running. Officers tried chasing them in a nearby wooded area, but didn't have any luck finding them. But the driver now facing hit and run charges, and it's possible that person will also be charged with human trafficking. Tonight, the Bexar County Sheriff's Office is continuing to investigate a shooting that sent a man to the hospital. This happened last night around 9:15 in the 7000 block of Oval Meadow Street. That's on the northeast side. Deputies say that 2 men were arguing outside of a home when one of them went inside, grabbed a shotgun, and shot the other man in the stomach. Deputies say they detained the shooter and the other man is in the hospital. He walked in on foot and left with new wheels. San Antonio police and Crime Stoppers need your help finding the man who robbed a Target on the north side. Happened back on September 12th. Police say that man tried walking out of the store on Loop 410 in Blanco with a mountain bike and other stuff without paying for it. And when someone from loss prevention tried stopping him, he pulled out pepper spray. He threatened to use it. The employee then backed off. So if you recognize that man, call Crime Stoppers. That number is 224-STOP. Again, 224-STOP. You're also going to need to keep that number handy if you know anything about this next case. Police are trying to identify a robbery suspect. Police say that man that you see on your screen stole items from a Home Depot on Southwest Military Drive at the end of August. Workers tried to get the stuff back, but he allegedly threatened them. In other news, 2 people are really counting their blessings tonight after escaping a fire that started in their apartment. So this happened just after 10 p.m. in the 1100 block of Fenfield Avenue on the southwest side. Crews say a pregnant woman and a man were inside when they just heard a pop. So they went outside to check it out, and then they found a wall that was on fire. And fire officials say their apartment is just gone now. For 3 days in a row, Russian missiles have slammed into Ukrainian cities, but some believe it's a sign that things may be spiraling out of control. So far, More than a dozen citizens have been killed and more than 100 others wounded in these latest attacks. Military experts are calling these indiscriminate attacks, quote, desperate. And that's raising concerns that Russia's president may be feeling pressure to go nuclear. In an interview with CNN, President Joe Biden agrees that it could be a horrible next move.
Once you use a nuclear weapon, the mistakes that can be made, the miscalculations, who knows what would happen.
Now, those comments were after Ukraine's president met with Biden and the G7 yesterday. They pledged more financial and military support for Ukraine. Ukraine's president asked the G7 nations to fast-track air defense systems to fight airstrikes. Now, back here at home, San Antonio welcomed a large group of visitors from Ukraine, but these weren't tourists. This was a delegation of business and community leaders who came to meet their counterparts here in San Antonio. And although Ukraine is built on free enterprise, they say the American business model could really further strengthen their war-ravaged country if Russia is defeated.
So what can we do to play a part in the economic rebuilding of Ukraine? How can we both benefit?
So they talked about business expansions, also partnerships and collaborations, sharing research. By the way, San Antonio was one of only 3 U.S. cities that Ukrainian delegation is visiting. It's the end of an era. Bexar County Judge Nelson Wolff delivered his final State of the County address to the San Antonio Chamber of Commerce. He was appointed back in 2001 and re-elected 5 times. Spent a total of 32 years in public office, which will officially end December 31st. Judge Wolff reflected on his accomplishments over the last 20 years, pointing to things like criminal justice reform, the commitment to nature projects like the Mission Reach Trail, and also economic growth.
It'll be up to the next county judge and the commissioner's court to set their priorities. I believe when you serve in office and you leave office, you just get out of the way and don't be a hindrance to whoever takes your place. If they call for advice, I'll certainly respond to it, but I'm not going to be there trying to second guess them. I think we're going to be in good hands.
As for what he thinks the next judge should focus on, Judge Wolff talked about diabetes and also all the lives that were lost during the pandemic, and he hopes that whoever succeeds him keeps public health a top priority. We know you noticed that humidity today. Now here's a look at the rest of your week with meteorologist Adam Caskey.
A weak cold front moving through this evening. Behind it, some gusty winds tomorrow and lower humidity, but still an unseasonably warm day. 65 in the morning at 7 a.m., then sunny and 92 in the afternoon, but a northeasterly wind at 10 to 20, gusting up to 25 miles per hour at times. Humidity quickly comes back late Friday, sticks around through the weekend. Still warm, upper 80s, low 90s through the weekend. By Sunday night, a stronger, more potent cold front hits. With it, some better rain chances along with upper level support. We're looking at some scattered activity, 40% chance Sunday evening, then increasing that to 60% Sunday night off and on through Monday. So more numerous showers and storms likely with that slow moving front. I wouldn't be surprised to see up to 3 inches in some parts of our area. Also, high temperatures noticeably cooler and fall like, low to mid 70s next week.
Before we go, here's something to think about. Teenagers across San Antonio responded to a mental health survey that's giving us an insight into their mental health. Project Worth, a city-run teen empowerment program, surveyed more than 800 young people, and nearly half of teens said they felt numb or helpless. At least 28% reported suicidal thoughts, and the biggest thing stressing them out were school and COVID. Some of them also said that they don't have enough access to mental health resources and that there's limited education on how teenagers can care for themselves.
It's good that we're breaking the stigma and finally talking about it, because the data, it's really true, because we're actually answering questions that aren't typically answered or asked before. So it's good that we're starting to have this conversation.
Yeah, we hope that it certainly continues. And if you want to read more about this, we have links to the survey. And more importantly, we also have more mental health resources that you can use. They're all on our website, KSAT.com. If you need them, please go there right now. That help is out there for you. We hope that helps you. Now we're out of time tonight. We so appreciate your company. The 9 at Night, returns tomorrow.